just gonna be here for like 10 minutes. So you want an explanation on how to win the 100 Years War? I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually don't know. Theoretically, you could win the 100 Years War in the first phase. I'll just show you what I mean in a sec when I load the game back in. There are things that you have to keep an eye on when you're fighting the first phase of the 100 Years War. I've seen, actually, I'll just clarify, I've seen a couple of playthroughs of England on YouTube for EU5, and they usually don't win the war in the first phase. They usually wait till like the third or fourth phase to win the war. But I think, theoretically, you can win in the first phase. Which is what I'm kind of attempting to do right now. Your problem is when you ask someone, just swap subjects, they are not loyal to France. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by that either. I'm honestly, I don't know. Because I went through the 100 Years War interface, and it doesn't actually tell you anything about swapping subjects. There's even like a little guide or sentence somewhere that says that you can, mess around with subjects, but maybe this is something that you can do in other phases. Like the first phase might just be, you might have like limited options for dealing with vassals, but I'll just show you what I've been doing right now. So if you, so what is it? It's 1341. The war starts in 1337, so you know this is probably, likely, the first phase, which it is, if I'll show you here. 100 Years War, first phase of the 100 Years War. So, you'll notice a couple of things here. You'll notice that I have Britannia here, and I also have Boulogne sur Mer and Armale. Oh, and Rethel here as well. So one of the things that I've noticed in the last 6 hours, 7 hours in the first phase of this war, is that if a vassal in France is disloyal, you can actually separate piece them and take their land directly. So that's what I did with Brittany, that's what I did with these two provinces here. That's what I did with Rethel. So one of the things that I would probably recommend in certain situations like that, when vassals of France are disloyal, what I would do is look for those and start sieging those down and taking those lands, because when they are disloyal, you can actually separate piece them. At least as far as I can see. I could be wrong though. I could be totally wrong. And when people say, oh, just swap subjects when they are not loyal to France, I'm not totally sure. But what about the ports? Some vassals have ports in their capitals, and that takes a lot of time. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, EU5 is a lot longer than EU4. And you'll notice wars take a lot longer because the hourly tick. It's an hourly tick and not like a daily tick. So, yeah, I mean, I would prioritize going for vassals that don't have fortifications, but not all of them are disloyal. So it's just a matter of like looking for vassals, just vassal hunting and looking for the easiest to kill. In my previous attempt at the 100 Years War, I did get above 15% land in the first war. But the problem is, at least if you want to like turn France into your personal union, by doing claim throne in the war goal, I'll just show you what I mean. You probably know what I mean anyways, but I'll just go through it anyways. So Paris is controlled, that's easy. Getting the 15% you can actually do in the first war, but getting a war score above 200 and whatever, because the war score goes down every time you like, every time you annex one of the disloyal vassals, their great war score goes down, but I can never get it below mine. Because England, it's kind of a backwater in this period of time, so it's very hard for me to like, I can't really develop my economy as fast as France. So it's just a matter of like, yeah, you just gotta find the right vassals to annex and annex those guys. uh, yeah, they need to rebalance this because it's almost impossible. I'm not sure about rebalancing because I think this is historically accurate. Like, it is supposed to be really difficult to actually turn France into a personal union, in 1337. So I'm not entirely sure if rebalancing is the right thing. I think what they need to do is make it a bit more transparent as to what you're supposed to do in the war, because it is actually really hard to figure that out. Like I said, it took me about 6 hours to figure out, oh yeah, disloyal vassals are like, annexable. But but yeah, it took me a while. It took me a long time to figure that out. Um, I think in my first run, I made it to about 1360, and then I just kind of got a little. I mean, I didn't get bored, but I thought, okay, I could have probably done the first war a lot better than I did in my first try. So I've been doing it and just testing it out just to see, like, all the different potential peace deals and all the, like, the different interactions that you can make with vassals, and I came up with this. So this is, yeah, I think this is a valid strategy, and you'll notice my antagonism as well. It's not that high. I mean, it's pretty high for like the bordering Holy Roman Empire territories. You look at these guys. You've got 26 with Luxembourg, 43 with Hainaut. So you're going to get a lot of antagonistic relations with the Low Countries. Spain can get pretty high as well at times if you start, like, taking these southern French territories here in, like, Aquitaine and Gascony. But for the most part, I mean, I did rack up, like, a coalition that spanned pretty much like half of the Holy Roman Empire, including Austria, like, and, and most of northwestern Italy. But I think coalitions are a lot easier to deal with in EU5, or at least it looks like it's supposed to be easier in EU5, because the war tick is based on the war goal, I should say, is to take the capital, and you've got a better navy than any coalition that could form up in Europe. Like, it's pretty much impossible to take down your capital, so the war score is actually going to tick in your favor every time a coalition forms. It gets bad if, like, let's say Scotland forms a coalition, because then they can start ferrying their armies from Europe to Scotland. But beyond that, it's really easy. You can deal with those coalitions fairly easily, which is why I'm thinking actually getting a claim throne in the first war is actually a good idea, and just, like, settling the antagonism over 50 to 100 years is actually, like, the goal, or at least it's the optimal goal in this playthrough. But yeah, I haven't really gotten far into the game enough to really to know. I've only got about, like, 20 hours, so it's 15 hours. So yeah. But also bear in mind, I've played a lot of EU4, so it's, yeah. On the other hand, in H2, France always gets professional army before England. You have about 20 hours. All right. Yeah, but it's just been 20 hours of the 100 Years' War in, like, the first or second phase. I haven't really, yeah. But I did learn a lot. There's a lot to learn if you just do the 100 Years' War over and over again, because you can learn those small details, like with vassal annexation, and learning the difference between vassals as well is very useful. I think I turned Normandy into a dominion the first time around, which was a mistake. If you want to annex Normandy quickly, which, I mean, honestly, is not necessarily something you want to do straight away. But if you want to, like, take Normandy just to get, like, reduced antagonism, but you also want to annex them quickly, you want to go for a vassal. But dominions are pretty useful. I hear the meta now is like lots of vassals is a good thing, because control, especially in the early game, in the first 100 years, and bear in mind also, I'm just going to say this again, this is just based on things that I've read online, but control is hard to get in the first 100 years. So, like, using vassals to effectively tax faraway lands is a really effective way of getting, the same amount of gold that you would have normally, without having to actually, like, administer it and deal with the lack of control by personally controlling it. Um, yeah, control is incredibly important. It's like, I guess it's the equivalent of, like, coring stuff in EU4. I'm trying to find, like, an Imperator, like, comparison, because that's a better example. It's a closer analog than EU4, in my opinion. Um, um, oh, what did they use? I think Imperator, they didn't have, like, cores or anything like that, but I remember they used, what did they use? They used, culture and religion. Culture and religion in Imperator was a lot more important than it is in EU. At least it's the war. So it's like, yeah, I guess it's a bit like that. Alright, I'm gonna go kill the French. Oh yeah, another thing, right? If you're in the middle of a war and you're running out of levies, what you can do is send those troops back home, disband the levies, and then re-enlist the levies, and you can get the same amount of levies if your population, for example, grows at a fairly consistent rate. You can get about the same amount of levies when you respawn them, as you did at the start of the war. Yeah, so I think that's a really useful thing. The AI doesn't do that. When you fight the AI, you'll find that they'll lose their troops at a fairly flat rate, and they won't re-enlist them. But as a player, obviously, you can do that. You can just disband and re-enlist, or re-raise. And this is something that I'm actually kind of surprised that the other, like, EU5 streamers haven't actually done, is just mess around with the first situation, with the first phase of the war. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm gonna have a look at that and see if someone actually has done what I've done here. Or, could I say, I want to see if someone has claim the throne in the First War. It's an interesting challenge, because I don't think they intend for you to do it, but they give you the option anyways. Which I think is the best kind of challenge in this game. So here's an example of what I mean. These guys are a vassal, but you can separate super peace, and you actually have the option here. You can go like this. There you go. Send demand. I mean, it's going to be a lot of antagonism. You are going to be dealing with initial coalitions from, like, the Holy Roman Empire. But, again, I think it's worth it. So just have a look at the antagonism map mode. You see, two of these guys on the borders of the Holy Roman Empire are actually willing to join a coalition. They probably won't get it until the end of the war, when they, like, annex everybody else. And just another example, another thing to look at. So we're on 13.9%. We're actually very close to getting the prerequisites for the first condition here. Another dumb thing, your vassals are useless. They are not crossing the channel to help you at all. They are just standing there because they don't have navies. That's why they're not helping you. Like, a lot of these guys are, like, landlocked countries, so therefore they can't move them. Some of these guys do have navies, so I do agree. Some of these vassals don't actually have any excuse. And it's a shame. I think that navies, or at least allied navies, work the same way as they do in EU4, in that they don't actually ferry, like, allied troops. If Paradox give options to control our vassals and tell them what to do. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting problem with that though. Like, if you give the player to the ability to control vassals, then you're going to have issues where the player, in certain instances, will abuse that power and actually, like, for example, like if I have a disloyal or an almost disloyal vassal in France, for example, just in this hypothetical situation where I've turned them into a personal union and they're like, they're, you know, they're required to join all of my wars, I could essentially um, reduce, sorry, increase their, what am I saying? No, I could reduce their liberty desire by reducing the amount of troops that they have by essentially forcing their troops on the front line in my wars and like getting rid of their levies and reducing their population in the long term. And that would have effectively reduced their liberty desire with me and make them a more a loyal vassal. I think that would be a bit too powerful in my opinion, and I think that's probably one of the things that they consider when considering giving the player control of vassals. In Imperator, you control your vassals if they're not loyal, like generals in Imperator, you cannot control them. That's it. Yeah, again, that's the problem with. I mean, it's not even. I mean, it is. You could do a system like that where you have loyal vassals that can be controlled by your armies, but it's still a similar problem where, okay, so you predict that your vassal is going to be disloyal in like 10 years. You could just, use the situation right in front of you to, reduce their levies, reduce their pops by forcing all their armies into the war, and then you've got a forever loyal vassal. It's a bit too gamey, in my opinion. Um, what there should be is, I think there should be like some kind of automation, like kind of like what they do with the armies, or at least how they should be working. I don't think automation is working right now, but like you have like select objective, right? And you can do select objective, hunt armies or whatever, and you could probably have. I mean, I guess it's kind of a similar situation or a similar mechanic to EU4's vassal control system, where you can give vague commands, but the armies are ultimately controlled by the vassals, which I think would be a good compromise. Um, which I'm surprised I don't have in this. I think, but that's probably the best way they could go about it. I think without it becoming a bit too gamey. Uh, yeah. Okay, so I don't think I can. Oh, I can. I can actually do the same with these guys. So I'm going to be annexing Rousey or Rusi. I don't know how you pronounce that. So I'm increasing my taxes with some of these guys, with the burgesses and the lords, because they have favorable relations with the crown. So I'd rather kind of take advantage of that and tax as much as I can. It's like during the war. I think the war is the reason why they like me. It's because they don't like the French. So, but I could be wrong. Oh, oh, that's why it's okay. I just noticed why the controller is changing. They did siege down Merle. So another cool thing about sieging down these territories and annexing them is that these actually become like a supply hub for your armies. You can actually move into like the inner parts of France and siege stuff down, and source your like food and whatnot from like this local node. Something you couldn't really do before. Okay, so there's a French army coming this way. I think the best thing to do right now would be to go and attack these guys. It actually weakens them if you kill their armies. I mean, it weakens them in the sense that their vassals will become disloyal if you Jeez. Yeah, okay. Well, we just gotta keep moving. So another tip here. You'll notice when you move, your morale actually goes down every time you move into an adjacent province. And also, I believe when the day ticks down and you're still moving, it does it as well. There we go. You lose morale. And you regain morale when you sit like this. How's it going? Lucky Marine Games. You always click balance unit. Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, yeah, okay, I understand what you mean by that. Maybe I should do that. Is that like consolidate regiments from EU4? Yeah, hello everybody. So I'm currently doing the 100 Years War here. It's 1342. I've been doing the same war, well, the first and second stages, and like redoing this over and over again to see like what I can do better for the last like 15 hours of the game. So it's yeah, so I might be here for a while, but I've found a few tips that a lot of people probably don't know about. A lot of the streamers on YouTube don't know about. Like for example, you see all these territories here. I'll just point this out again. This is the first phase of the 100 Years War, and I have a bunch of these territories in inner France. One of the things that streamers don't tell you is that you can actually annex disloyal vassals of France. And I believe it's designed as intended as well, so it's not like I'm not exploiting the game. This is all like a real mechanic. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain this is it's working as intended. Oh shit. Okay, this is a subject. I can't take these guys. Can't take these guys. Can take these guys. So I'm gonna go to Nevers and I'm gonna go siege this down. I don't want to like siege or attack any of the vassals. So you wanna go and attack like the overlord of France in this particular example. Oh jeez, what's Burgundy like? Okay, so Burgundy is disloyal, so they're actually a really good target for this. You'll notice that there's a coalition forming here. Most of these countries are actually, like, landlocked, so they don't have any navies. There's no way for them to attack the war goal of any coalition. I have a slow child. That's good. That's kind of annoying. I'm not sure if that screwed me over here. That was Nevers' army there. Just have a look at this as well. Okay, this is a subject too. Good. That's Nevers. Nivernais. There you go. So we'll have a look at the antagonism. We've got a bunch more of these guys that can join the coalition on the borders of the Holy Roman Empire, and we'll see and have a look at the goal for claiming the throne of France. 265 out of 220. Sorry, 220 out of 265. I should say it the other way around. So I need to reach France's great power score, or reduce it to my level. I can increase it effectively just by annexing a bunch of these guys, but really the goal is to bring France down to my level. Like, screw them up as much as I can, economically and militarily. So another thing that I kind of want to do is take Burgundy. I'm just going to have a look at their country panel here. So they've got 15k troops, I've got 24k. I want to avoid their armies as much as I can. And I also want to go and I want to annex everything. Hopefully that'll put me over. Another thing to consider, and I probably should be doing this first, is actually to go and siege down Paris, because this is the main goal of the war, right? Not only that, but it might make it easier for me to go and, like, annex these smallies, you know? Yeah, okay, we're gonna move out. A bunch of these guys have joined coalitions. There's really nothing to worry about here. It's, yeah, I think, okay, yeah, alright. I'm not sure if you guys hear that, but I think I'm probably gonna go in a sec. Oh, maybe I'll siege this guy down. So this is someone I can actually take. Oh, no, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? I could have just taken that. So I'm gonna go back down. And keep moving. Move as quickly as possible. Oh, Savoy is joining a coalition. Oh no, that's terrible. Alright, so we're just going to sit here for a bit. And then move south. There we go. The great thing about this coalition, again, they're landlocked. So it's very hard for them to reach my territories, and really difficult for them to, like, get war score tick. Another thing to consider here is that when they siege down my French possessions, it's going to make my continental possessions less desirable, and in the long term it hurts France because they want these lands. And not only that, but well, the hope is that these people are going to start moving troops, sorry, moving pots in the direction of my more prosperous territories in England, in mainland England. So alright, so we're just gonna wait a bit, wait for these things to fucking control the provinces around the ports. Give it a sec longer. Okay, there we go. So this is enough to take all these territories. Have a look at my population movement. Oh, what am I doing? What wasn't so? Oh, you have 250 hours in EU4. I think I've got about 5,000 in that. From what I remember. Oh, look at that. Look at those numbers. Now all of these guys are actually disloyal. I can start vassalizing. Oh, it's not vassalizing, annexing a bunch of these. We'll just give it a sec here, but we'll look at, like, Blois, for example, or, like, this guy Yeah, Normandy, maybe, I think, well, Normandy is probably one of their most loyal vassals so far. It's Anjou and Normandy that are the two ones that are like most hesitant to leave. Probably want to go and focus on like Montfort, which I gotta find a where is this? Right, so these northern possessions up here, other than Anjou, are the ones that I want to go and like annex, because a lot of these are they've got no forts, like this one for example in Maine. Um, that's what, like 5 locations in a county with no fort that I can just annex straight up. All right, I think all right, I'm gonna go, but this is something that just something that I want to uh, I don't know what's the word I'm looking. I want people to be aware of this when they do their like 100-year war playthroughs. Like it's something you can do. You can theoretically beat the French and end the 100 Years War in under like 10 years with the initial like claim throne Casus Belli. But again, I'll probably get back to this in like a couple of hours. So if anyone's interested, I'll be doing that. Um, I'll probably just come out with a video as well, just as like a tutorial on the 100 Years War. Um, because I've noticed, yeah, a lot of people aren't doing that. They're just doing like a straight up playthrough of like the first 10 hours of the game. um, without really necessarily going into the very the nitty gritty of the 100 Years War situation mechanics. Um, but yeah, all right. See you in 2 or 3 hours.